Welcome back, mother lovers, to another episode of Last Call at McLaren'S, a How I Met Your Mother podcast. I am Josh, here joined by my awesome co-host, John. John, how you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing excellent. Always excited to be here, recording Last Call at McLaren'S.
Yeah, buddy. And we are here today with Season 1, Episode 12, The Wedding. The beginning of what I like to call a two-part episode, even though it's technically not a two-part episode, with this and drum roll, please. It's going to be a good time. I hope you guys are ready. All right. So, episode 12, The Wedding, aired originally January 9th of 2006, the first of the year. Well, not the first of the year, but the first episode of that year. Yes. Directed, of course, by Pamela Fryman. Written by Courtney Kang. We saw her earlier this season. This is her second episode. She previously did Return of the Shirt.
Woo!
And, she goes on to write some good episodes, man. She does Mobius Designs. Huh. She does The Sexless Innkeeper.
Okay.
Trilogy Time. Sandcastles in the Sand, and one of our faves, Slap Bet. Yeah.
So she does actually a few of my favorite episodes then.
Yeah, she does some real key episodes.
That's actually pretty badass. Like, that makes me respect her so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, and it explains, like, if you look at these episodes, these are, like, really well done episodes. And so when I saw that it was her, I was like, oh, that explains why this episode is kind of like as good as it is.
Yeah.
Just, you had good writing on it. So the summary for this episode, Ted invites Robin to be his +1 at a wedding, but his plans lead to unexpected trouble with the bride and groom. Yeah.
Unexpected troubles. That's polite.
That's true. So, as usual, I do have some side notes. This episode, we do officially get the very first appearance of Victoria, someone who becomes very important throughout this show. Though at this point, when we do meet her at the end, we don't know her name yet. Though, if you pay attention to the credits, her name is in the credits.
True.
Which I thought was interesting. I was like, okay, she does have a name, even though it's obviously not said, because there's no dialogue there with her. This is also the first appearance of Stuart and Claudia. They come back a few times throughout the show, and we also, if you're not really paying attention, we get our first reference to Sandy Rivers.
Yeah, I caught that this time. I don't think I've ever noticed that before.
Yeah, I thought that. I was like, oh shit, they're talking about Sandy, because she doesn't say Sandy Rivers, and she doesn't. I don't even think she says he, because like so. I don't think. I mean, I'd have to go back and rewatch. I wasn't paying that close attention to the pronoun, if she even used one. So, like, theoretically, you could just assume it was a woman.
You could,
and maybe that was the plan originally. Maybe it wasn't gonna be like a guy. Maybe it was just a throwaway name. I have no idea.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The actor who plays Sandy is married to one of the cast members.
Yes, Allison Hannigan, actually.
Oh, okay.
His name is, I believe, Alexis Denisoff. He was on the show Angel.
Is that how they met?
I would assume, yeah.
On Angel, Buffy.
I think he was actually on Buffy first, because he was Faith's watcher.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm assuming that's where they first met.
That would make sense.
I mean, I guess it's possible that they had met before that, but I think that's where they first met. So, but yeah, little cool little tidbit. You get there's a few cool couples that happen throughout this show.
It's actually really funny though that you mentioned the whole Buffy thing, because I realized today watching season 1, Allison Hannigan hadn't fully formed Lily into the character that we know like in later seasons.
Yeah.
And watching her in these 2 episodes specifically, there's a couple points where I'm like, I get a lot of vibes of Michelle from American Pie.
Oh yeah, I can see
and
that.
I'm like, it makes me cringy because I hate that character.
Yeah.
Like, I love the American Pie movies, but Allison Hannigan's role in them is one of my least favorite parts of those movies.
No,
So
I get that. Yeah.
she starts arguing with Marshall about the wedding at one point, and she's all like, "Oh, why?" And I was like, "Oh God, it's Michelle from American Pie."
I guess it sticks with you even after all those years. Because that was like, what was that, 1999, I think?
Yeah.
Was when that movie came out.
Yeah.
So we're talking 6 years, 7 years, after this. And it does stick. It does stick. But yeah, so let's dive in, man. I'm excited to talk about these episodes. Episode starts out future Ted talking about weddings and how he's always checks a +1, because he's optimistic, John. He's optimistic about love. Yeah, he thinks he'll have somebody.
Yeah, but I love how he talks about, though, it also, like, checking that box means, like, exactly what you're going to be doing in 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, he's ever the optimist, always thinking he's gonna meet the one, whether it happens or not. Then we get a shot of Ted, and he's like, while this is, future Ted is talking about all this, we see present Ted opening up an invitation, checking it off, but we don't actually get to see what he checks. We're meant to obviously believe that he's checking +1 because that's what, the way future Ted is talking about it. But as we learn later on, not quite what happens here. So we flash forward 2 months and 26 days just before the wedding. It's like a day or two before the wedding. Ted is on the phone with Barney trying to figure out who he's going to bring to the wedding because, as far as he knows, he has a +1. And Barney thinks he should just go stag like him.
Yep.
Ted is reluctant to do that because he says that he says he feels guilty about the wasted money on the food. And I'm like, I don't know if I buy that, man. Like, really? Do you really care that much?
Pretty shitty reason to be like, oh, I need a date.
I mean, we find out later on that this wedding costs like $400,000. I think a $200 piece of fish ain't gonna break the bank. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. It's a drop in the bucket. I don't think that's gonna matter. I think it's just Ted. I think he knew who he wanted to ask.
Oh, but, I mean, God, yeah.
But I think he was just too afraid to do it. But so he was keeping that option open, and that's the big reason why. Future Ted chimes in again and reveals that, like I said, he knew who he wanted to bring. And of course, that was Robin. Though he says she was dating Derek at the time. Then we flash to the bar, and Robin reveals that she and Derek have broken up. So no longer with the 100 millionaire that we met in the previous episodes.
You know what's funny is, all in all, that dude only got like 10 minutes of screen time.
If that, man. Really? Yeah, it wasn't much at all. But I think he was in mentioned and or appeared in like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Which I was like shocked. I didn't think about the fact that he had that much exposure in the show, that he was around that long.
Like, he's talked about quite a bit.
Yeah. And
Derek this, Derek that, 100 millionaire, blah, 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 blah. But you don't very much, you get a glimpse of a shot of a picture of him here, but
yeah.
Man, his character is just shit into a toilet and flushed really quickly.
Yeah. Ted is visibly happy to hear this news. He's trying to keep it to himself.
But I was going to say, if that
as the audience,
he'd have jumped in joy.
Oh yeah, as the audience, we are looking at Ted and seeing just how excited he is that Robin and Derek have broken up. It's like they're obviously kind of oblivious to his face, because no one else seems to notice.
I was going to say, you would have think somebody would have noticed Ted's gleeful little gaze, but
yeah, because I mean, I didn't think it was that hidden, but no one else noticed.
I mean, everybody was pretty much focused on Robin though, so I mean, we'll give it the slide on this one.
That's true. So after that, Robin heads to the bar for a drink, and Ted tells the others that he thinks his feelings for Robin may be resurfacing. I don't think they ever went underground, to be honest with you.
No, and they make that comment during this part of the episode too. Everybody's "Oh, resurfacing," they've gone so far away.
Yeah, man, they bust his as he says at some point. It's either in this episode or the next one. They are busting his apple bags.
Yes, and I thought when I heard that and actually caught that expression, I was like, "What kind of expression is that?"
I know.
Apparently,
because I think it's in the next episode that it's done. Because I believe it was while I was listening to the audio commentary for the next episode, and they say that it's like a Southern colloquialism. So it's something from
makes sense
down
that
south.
Ted would know that kind of.
Yeah, it's like one of the writers apparently it was a saying that they used a lot, and so that's why it wound up in the episode, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, the whole table busting Ted's apple bags right now. Ted then explains why he thinks it's a good idea, and then heads up to the bar. Meanwhile, Barney, Lily, and Marshall stay at the booth and talk about the upcoming wedding. This is where we learn whose wedding it is, because the entire time we don't know whose wedding it is until right now. We find out it's some characters called Stuart and Claudia. We have not met them yet. This is the first time that we will be meeting them. And according to Barney, Claudia is way too hot for Stuart. It's true.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Then we get our first glance at Marshall and Lily's wedding planning issues, as they have very different ideas for what they want. Lily wants a more modern outdoor wedding, while Marshall wants a more traditional wedding in a ballroom. And I find this really interesting because they essentially wind up getting both.
They do.
In the end. They have the big indoor wedding, but they actually get married outside by a tree with just the gang. So I think that's kind of cool that, they wanted these two very different styles of weddings. And in the end, they wind up actually getting both getting what they wanted in one way.
I'm pretty sure that's why they do it that way.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
But what I thought was really funny about this scene specifically is there's a joke in here. And in a way, the joke doesn't age very well. But in the same time, it's still extremely funny. And that's Marshall's trying to beg and plead about, the wedding. And he's like, I've been dreaming about this day for a long time. And Lily goes, what, since you were a little girl?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, first off, this is the guy you're fucking marrying.
Yeah.
1. 2, yes, I agree with the fact that the wedding day is pretty much all about the bride. We know that. It's her day to look beautiful and be above her friends, and it's the happiest day of her life. But guess what? The man has to be there too, and if the man's not having a good time, it's going to look bad.
I'm going to say this. As someone who has been married, I hate this trope in TV and movies. I hate this, the wedding is all about the bride. No. It's not like it's pregnancy, where it's the woman who's carrying the child.
Fair enough.
The wedding, a wedding is about two people coming together to become one. You're telling me that this special day is actually only about one of those people?
That's true.
I hate that with a fiery passion.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I love this argument, because it's a very realistic argument between the two of them.
Yeah.
Where, most times, you see wedding planning in TV shows, it's so quick and, everything just falls into place usually on TV. You get a DJ or a band and it's no problem. Cake is decided with no problem. There's no arguments. Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
A venue's picked up and it's never overbooked, or, things can be moved around at convenience.
Yeah.
It's okay. And this is a real argument where they're I want this. Well, I want this.
Yeah. And I understand, in the end, you really can't, if they're that different, you can't have both things. Somebody's going to, there's going to have to be some sort of compromise, whether it be one person caves to the other or they meet somewhere in the middle with these things. However, it can't just be about the bride. That's not fair to the groom or the other bride, depending on what's going on in this situation.
That's fair.
It can't just be about one person.
I do have a question that is slightly off topic of How I Met Your Mother, but it fits with what we're talking about here.
Okay.
What is your favorite all-time TV show wedding?
TV show wedding?
Yeah. Like, I mean,
man.
I know that both of us have watched countless TV shows
Yeah.
and countless weddings. Like, what ranks is your number one?
Oh, man. I'm probably going to, like, forget about something. You know what I mean? Because there's so many.
I'm going to shock you with my answer.
There's so many out there. One that comes to mind that is it's more because it's hilarious to me. It's from New Girl, and it's the first time Cece attempts to get married. And all the guys are like trying to pull pranks during the wedding. And I'll say this: one of the pranks involves a badger. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. What is yours?
The Office. Jim and Pam.
That's a fantastic.
I love the
show.
Niagara Falls on the Maid of the Mist. Them just running away and doing it by themselves.
Yeah, that is great. Another one that I like is a little. It's not quite in the same. I mean, it's definitely a wedding, but it's not the kind of wedding you would expect. It's the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. So many people die. So many people died. That's a good one.
But yeah, so back to How I Met Your Mother. I just wanted to ask your favorite wedding.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Again, I'm probably gonna like think of something later on and be like, oh fuck, I should have said this. You know? Oh well. Tis what it is, and it is now on the internet. Well, it will be once I post this. We head back to the bar and we see Ted ask Robin to be his date for the wedding. She says yes, and they go back to the booth. Robin tells Lily that she needs a dress, and they take off to go shopping.
Yep.
Ted is really excited about this, you know, and he's like giddy and gleeful, and he's expressing that. And of course, Barney, being Barney, rags on him. You know, he tells him he's gonna revoke his dude membership. To which I love Ted's reply. He's like, "Yeah, how was that manicure yesterday?" Which I'm just like, yeah, obviously, it's been shown in future episodes, and many, that Barney is very into that kind of stuff.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure in one of the previous episodes too, he got a mani-pedi.
He might have. I don't honestly remember.
Like, I always take care of myself. Like, you know, like
yeah.
Barney
is what they would have referred to back then as like a metrosexual. Yeah,
Yep.
that I don't think anybody uses that term anymore.
No,
but that's I feel like it probably would have been around that time frame.
I would agree.
That would have been a term because he 100%. You know, he's like that kind of that dude guy is always in suits, but he does those things that you wouldn't expect, like gets manicures and things like that.
I mean, first off, there is nothing wrong with taking pride in yourself. Like,
oh no, absolutely,
you are who you put yourself out to the world to be.
Yeah.
In Barney's position of what he does for work, which we don't know at this point.
Yeah.
We just know that, Barney's always in a suit. But his job would require him to look his best all the time. Yeah. So therefore, him getting a manicure doesn't shock me at all.
No, not at all. And I don't know if we ever actually learn like how much he makes, but he makes a lot.
No, I think they just refer to it in buttloads.
Yeah. He makes a lot.
Six buttloads of cash.
Yeah, he makes a lot of.
But I mean, also think about it this way: we know at this point that Barney is a player, and we don't know to the extent of the levels yet because that hasn't really been like dove into.
Yeah.
But think about this: you're a straight man in a predominantly established woman culture, getting your nails and shit done. You are in prime pickings for fucking hot women.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it started. If Barney started going to like the salon to try and pick up chicks, and then he decided this was a thing he actually enjoyed.
Maybe.
And so he just kept. I really wouldn't be shocked if that was a thing. Yeah. So future Ted chimes in again. I feel like this is the most we hear from future Ted.
Yeah.
In a single episode.
At least at this point.
He keeps popping in and out throughout this one, which I find interesting. He says that back then he believed all it took was to put yourself and a girl you like together in a romantic setting. The stars would line up, and as he puts it, Shazam! But life is not that simple, John. It's just not.
I mean,
you know it could be, but it's sure as hell never been for us.
Alakazam, let me slam.
I mean, I'm sure Barney has used that exact line. So out on the street, Ted runs into Claudia, who's on the phone with the baker, which I find interesting. We eventually discover who this baker is, and she's arguing about the cake.
Yep.
Apparently, this person wrote down the wrong flavor. I don't know why I'm hiding it. We talk about spoilers all the time. This is Victoria. She's literally on the phone with Victoria right now.
Which I find weird, though, because knowing how Victoria runs her business later on, I don't see her writing down the wrong flavor. I guarantee it was a mistake by Claudia and her.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee you it was Claudia.
I mean, just knowing both characters down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, Claudia's just a fucking mindless bitch.
Yeah. I don't know what Victoria had written down. I would have loved to have known. So, like, see kind of the difference or like the closeness to it.
Yeah.
But, I have no doubt that either Claudia said the wrong thing or had Stuart order it and he got the wrong thing, or she changed her mind and is now taking, being like a fucking Karen.
Absolutely.
And just using it
she's
against
a total
her.
Karen throughout the show anyway.
It's absolutely. But yeah, I find it kind of like I never noticed it before until rewatching it. And I'm just like, wait a minute. She's on the phone with the baker and we know who the baker is. So and Ted's there. Literally, Ted is a phone call away from Victoria in this moment. And I find that so interesting. Like it was just really cool. Some cool foreshadowing. Like you said, she quote unquote apparently wrote down the wrong flavor, which there's no way. I really don't think she would. And Claudia threatens to burn her shop down if she doesn't get it right. And I'm just like, fuck, she's nuts, man.
Yeah.
She is nuts. And as Ted and Claudia chat, she says that there will be a lot of single girls at the wedding. But Ted's like, I'm bringing a date.
Bring a date.
And Claudia essentially flips her shit, man. And she's like, no, you are not bringing a date, Ted. You did not check +1. They kind of go back and forth. Though Claudia does make some solid points in her defense, solid. Like if you checked +1, why don't I have her name to be written? Did I call you for her name so it could be on the place card? What did she order for her meal? Ted, you ordered the chicken. What did she order?
So this is the one point where, like, I'll agree with Claudia on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because she makes the comment about the whole place card thing. And Ted's like, well, she knows her name. Yeah. First off, all you said was bringing a +1.
Yeah.
You didn't ask somebody until like the day before. So what would you have done? Put Ted's +1 on a fucking place card, Ted?
Exactly.
Like, hello.
Like this isn't like just like a, for lack of a better description, this isn't a poor person's wedding. No. Where it's just kind of willy-nilly, fly by the seat of your pants.
I was going to say.
This is a very expensive black tie catered event.
I will say this. I've noticed this is a thing in the How I Met Your Mother thing. Never before have I seen weddings with place cards. I have never been to a wedding that fancy. I have been to weddings where like people were like assigned tables. Yeah. Like you go to this table, but you can sit anywhere at that table.
I have been to one wedding that had place cards.
Fair. But like, I mean, at least we know for a fact that based on the show, Claudia and Stuart's wedding have place cards.
Yeah.
And when Robin goes to marry Barney, Ted calligraphies all the place cards at least 3 times.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a thing in this show, yeah. I'm assuming that one of the showrunners probably had place cards at their wedding.
Probably.
You know what I mean? And so that just was like, well, this is a thing that we did. It seems normal. Let's put it in the episode.
True.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's probably why. Like I said, they're going back and forth. She's giving some solid points. Then Ted just seemingly gives up the fight, which was something I found interesting because if he really believed that he gave a +1, why did he give up so easily?
Exactly.
You know, that was another thing. I think deep down he knew he didn't do the +1, but he was committed to bringing Robin to this thing, so he had to keep trying. You know what I mean?
I mean, it makes sense. He was really trying to, hey, Robin.
Yeah. Deep down, I think he knew. He knew he didn't check that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then back at the bar, Ted tells the guys that Claudia is crazy, to which Barney replies, but to be fair, she's also hot.
Yes.
This
was a great, yes.
Yeah, the first reference to the infamous hot crazy scale.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Another thing I never caught before while watching this show.
I've definitely caught that reference, but it didn't register to me until watching it now that this was a reference to the hot crazy scale.
Yeah.
Because that'll come back a couple more times later seasons.
Yeah.
Plus we also get the actual scale at one point. But
yes.
I mean it's referenced to multiple times. Mm-hmm. But then you get the actual scale and there's the line and there's the person that's referenced, and I forget her name.
It's the Shelley Gillespie zone.
Something like that.
Is what it is. Yeah. But
which that actually turns out to be the name, man. Then kudos to you.
I'm pretty sure that is the name. I love when we get to kind of see the seeds that they're growing throughout this show. It's really it's fun to be catching all this stuff and be talking about it with you. So Ted, he's trying to convince himself and obviously everybody else that he did actually check that +1, but Barney knows better. He knows that deep down Ted wants to be single, and he keeps pushing him that way. Marshall tells Ted that he needs to tell Robin that she can't come. He needs to just stop messing around and just tell her, because you shouldn't be messing around with the bride, messing with this wedding and all this shit.
I mean, women love it when you tell them they can't come.
Fair enough. I don't know what kind of ladies you're into, John, but fair enough. So we flash out to the outside of Robin's apartment as Ted approaches. We have not seen her apartment since the pilot, correct?
Pretty much, yes.
I don't think we've been back to the apartment since the pilot.
The
re-return. It's cool because inside you see the blue French horn. Which is cool. It's right there on her mantle, which I thought was neat. So Ted knocks on the door and Lily comes out, cutting Ted off from talking. So he's not able to, say what he needs to say. He's not able to tell Lily that he didn't check a +1. She starts explaining that she's been laying some groundwork for Ted, making him sound real good, and that they found the dress, John.
The dress.
They found the dress, and when Ted sees it, he is absolutely floored and decides not to tell her that she can't go.
I mean, I would be floored too, because I will say this straight out: Colby Smulders looks fucking hot in that dress.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. The wardrobe picked a good one. Yeah. So then on the cab ride home, Ted and Lily are there and they're talking. And Ted tells Lily that he does not have a +1. That's where he finally reveals it to her. And Lily just suggests trying to sneak Robin in. And Ted's like, but we're not ninjas. Of course. Come on, man.
Yeah. I like Lily's reference, though. Why aren't we ninjas?
Yeah, why aren't we ninjas? Then she suggests asking Stuart. And she says, because, the wedding's 40% his. And I'm like, wow, Lily, what happened to, the bride wins? If it's not hers, if it's not benefiting her in some way, she's just a flip-flopper over here.
Well, I love how she makes the comment, though, later on after this when, they bring Marshall into it. And Marshall's like, oh, you went to her. And she's like, well, the groom gets saying the non-important stuff.
Yeah, like who's gonna come? Apparently, that's not important. So Ted goes to talk to Stuart, and Stuart agrees right away. You know, him and Ted are old friends, so it was like no problem. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He says Claudia's been a bit crazy with all the wedding stuff. Ted understands. So then back at the apartment, Lily trying to convince Marshall to have an outdoor wedding still. He's just not having it. And then Ted comes in and tells them that Stuart agreed to let him bring someone, and Marshall thinks this is a terrible idea.
Absolutely.
Terrible idea, and that you just don't go behind the bride's back. It's not something that you should do.
One of the things I thought was funny about this scene, when Lily and Marshall are bickering about the whole wedding, the indoor-outdoor still, I love where Lily's like, we can get married outside. And Marshall's like, yeah, like squirrels.
Yeah, like a couple of squirrels.
Squirrels don't get married. And I just love his fucking response of, there's no possible way you can know that, Lily.
Yeah.
Like, it is straight-faced and delivered with such emotion. Like, it's conveyed so well that I believe somewhere deep down in his soul, Marshall Erickson believes there is like a little preacher being like,
oh my god. I'm just thinking about that. That's hilarious. And yeah, man, when Marshall talks about stuff, he does. He talks about it with such conviction and belief.
But I love the way he simply, because like he's doing shit as they're arguing.
Yeah.
And like he just stops. He's like, yeah, because there's like any way you would know that, Lily.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh, that's too funny.
And then
and then this is where Marshall finds out that it was Lily's idea, and she kind of jumps on that idea that the groom, should have a say. But we were talking about before, and they kind of go back and forth with that a little bit. Then Claudia calls Ted. Shit, man, shouldn't have fucked with the bride.
No,
and Ted, being scared, of course, hands the phone over to Lily and makes her talk to Claudia. This is when we learn that when Stuart told Claudia what he did, they got into a huge blowout fight and broke up. And Claudia blames Ted.
Blames Ted completely, which, I mean, at this point, it is his fault.
Yeah, I mean, she said no, and he decided to go a different route and cause a rift between her and her to-be, so... then while Lily's on the phone with Claudia, Robin calls Lily's phone and Ted answers. And she said, she's excited about the wedding. She just bought some new shoes. Ted pretty much just kind of like rushes her off the phone, says he's excited too, and just kind of gets out of there because he doesn't want to deal with what he should be doing. Then Lily tells Claudia to meet her at McLaren's so that they can talk, have a drink, whatever. And as I said before, we find out that apparently her wedding cost $400,000.
Yeah.
And I just, I know that this is a thing with people who have money. I just don't understand why you'd spend that kind of money on essentially a party. I just don't understand.
Well, there's an issue I have with this part of the scene leading into the next one anyway.
Okay.
So Lily's on the phone with Claudia. Mm-hmm. Claudia's like, because you can clearly see Claudia's probably like at home still.
No, Claudia was in, I'm pretty sure she was in a cab.
Or no, you're right. She is in a cab.
Yeah, she was in a cab.
So then like Lily's like, well, meet me at McLaren's. We'll have a couple drinks, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk it over.
Yeah, I talk about this. I have this in my notes. Yeah. So we can, because real quick, right before what is to come, we see Ted and Marshall leave. Like they grab their coats and they go out the door. But right as the scene is about to cut, you see Lily walk like toward the bedroom.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why? Like, what? Why didn't she go down also? I mean, she looked dressed to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why she didn't just grab her coat and go downstairs and wait for her.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, we know they live right upstairs from the bar.
Yeah, literally a couple minutes, boom, you're at the bar.
And that leads to what ends up happening. Like, I'm like, that whole part of the next scene could be alleviated because Lily was lazy, essentially.
And Lily takes her sweet ass time.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
because like we were saying, Claudia is still like driving that way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like she wasn't driving to McLaren's because she was just driving like, I don't know where she was going, but Lily suggests, how about we meet at McLaren's?
Yeah.
So then she had to tell the driver, the cab driver, to go to McLaren's. Who knows how long that would have taken? Hopefully not that long. But then, you know, we get there, we get to the bar, the audience gets to the bar, and Claudia is already there with a drink at the bar.
And her drink's pretty much gone.
Yeah, so she's already been there for whoever knows how long, and she's visibly upset. And Barney approaches, of course, making moves on her.
Yep.
We see later on, we get another scene later on, I'm just kind of jumping it a little bit, where Barney and Claudia have moved to a booth.
And which becomes the booth, too. And have gotten another full round of drinks in them. Yeah. Which are probably Barney's second order of drinks.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
And I'm like, how long what did she do? Go upstairs and take a fucking nap?
Right? It's like she's like, I'm gonna hop in the shower first. She'll be fine. You know, her wedding, right? her whole life is falling apart. She'll be fine. I mean, since we're in that part of the scene, I might as well finish up. You know, eventually Lily does finally show up. You know, as Barney's kind of preparing to close the deal.
I mean, he was very close to closing the fucking deal.
He was, man. And Lily grabs him by the ear, pulls him away, threatens him, threatens to feed him. Was it to feed him one each of his eyeballs and his testicles?
Yeah, and I love how he's like, because she like gets a little stumble. And he's like, "Well, which one are you going to make me eat?"
Yeah,
and she's like, one of each."
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was funny. Another interesting thing about the bar scene, we get a new bartender.
Yeah, which isn't either one of the ones we're normally used to.
And I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think we ever see him again either.
Because he probably fucking killed himself.
That's right. And I tried to like I went on IMDb. I was like, who is this guy? Has he been in other episodes? He's not even credited in the episode.
Maybe the actor killed himself too.
Oh, jeez. That went a little darker than I expected.
He's like, I can't take this.
But he has some good nonverbal acting going on, you know.
Yeah,
when Barney's like, they all like cranberry vodka or something like that, and he like gives him this look. When Barney's saying something else to her, you see him give another like little look, and then he does it again when they're at the booth.
Yep.
He's doing some good stuff there if you're paying attention. I thought it was really cool. I was shocked. But jumping back to Ted and Marshall, they go to Stewart's to try and fix things. Stewart says that he wants to be single. Ted tries to convince him and then has Marshall talk to him. But Marshall has some other things to say. He tells him straight out, man, don't get married. Because if you can look at this girl and it's not easy for you, then she's not the one.
Not the one.
She's not the one. So Ted, Marshall, and Stewart all walk into the bar, after Lily gets there and takes Barney away. And Claudia and him work things out, and they kiss, you know? I mean, she gets pissed when Stewart says that Marshall told him not to marry her, which is funny because she just like tries to lunge at him, which I thought was hilarious. And then we get fucking Ted over here asking about the +1 again.
Yeah, dude, not the time. Read the room.
Yeah, seriously. But then we learn after 3 more vodka cranberries, Claudia graciously agreed to let Ted bring a date to the wedding. So it's on, John. It's on like fucking Donkey Kong.
Yep.
He's bringing Robin.
He's bringing Robin Scherbatsky.
That's right, man.
Bring it, Scherbatsky.
He's gonna Scherbatsky all over the place. I don't think that joke worked, but I'm going with it. So speaking of Robin, Ted heads over to her place to pick her up for the wedding. It is the day, and she gets a call from work, saying that they need her to anchor that night, and she needs to get there ASAP.
ASAP.
And Ted, you know, being Ted, being that good guy Ted, tells her to do it, knowing that this is her dream. And he's obviously disappointed, but he's happy for her, you know. Then we get to the actual wedding. The wedding is finally here. Ted and Barney, they're sitting at a table as Lily and Marshall are dancing. Lily and Marshall discuss how nice the wedding is. They start kind of making some headway together and deciding their own wedding by agreeing on some crab cakes.
Crab cakes!
But then they disagree on the sauce.
Yeah, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was great. But and then they kind of laugh about it. It's a nice little moment for them in kind of breaking down that wall that they've been experiencing all episode.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Claudia and Stuart come over to Ted because they want to meet. They want to take a picture with this mystery woman who almost
ended the wedding.
Yeah, man, who fucking almost tanked everything. And when he says that she couldn't make it, all they can do is just laugh about it.
I love Claudia's reaction. Like, she pinches, she's like,
yeah, it's just like, what's so funny?
I love her reaction, though. Try and plan a wedding.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, seriously. I mean, planning a wedding is kind of a bitch. It really is. And he went through all that shit for nothing, which I think is hilarious
nothing.
Too. You know, it really, I mean, I'll be honest, it's really not for nothing in the end, because it made Ted realize that what he's doing with him and Robin, it's not easy. Like, he needs to move on, at least for now. He needs to move on, because we know stuff. It doesn't stay moved on forever.
No, it doesn't.
Then Claudia then tells Ted that she found the RSVP card and hands it to him. And we find out now that he did not check +1.
He did not.
No, obviously he wanted to be single. And he caused all this drama on himself.
Yep.
He then spots a girl from across the room. Very similar to the pilot episode where he spots Robin.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we meet Victoria, who's, like I said at the beginning, we don't actually know her name, but it is in the credits. And this is where the episode ends.
I will tell you this. Her smile, because she gives him that big, smile right before they fade to black.
Yeah.
That smile is just so amazing.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, man.
She is absolutely gorgeous. Like, she is one of the few celebrities, like, where I'm like, yeah, like, I would in a heartbeat try to, like, marry her.
Yeah, like, she is, I think she's one of the hottest that Ted is with at any point in the show.
I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So,
like, in all honesty, of all the women Ted ends up with in this show, top 3 are instantly Victoria, Tracy, and then probably Robin.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, Stella, I mean, Sarah Chalk to me is hot.
She's okay. I like Sarah Chalk when she got to, like, I mean, in this show, she's got some weight to her. So, yes, I would agree that Sarah Chalk is a beautiful woman. I think putting her next to somebody like Victoria and Tracy, though, does her no good.
That's true. Yeah, I think my top 2, I agree with you. The top 2, I think, are definitely Victoria and Tracy.
Plus, I never really got past knowing what we end up knowing of her. I never got past Stella's personality.
That's true.
Like, her cattiness for just being like, and it was trivial bullshit, but she was always making it into big shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're moving to fucking New Jersey because, Jersey's where we need to be. And then ends up fucking caving on Tony and moves back to fucking New York City. You catty ass bitch. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously we're jumping way ahead in the show, but like, she pulls that shit. And she also allows Tony to make that fucking movie about Ted. Yeah. Knowing she knows
such a horrible life.
Obviously told him all these stories.
Yeah.
And painted Ted like that.
But the worst part about it is that, so, like you said, she tells Tony these stories. He makes this movie, and she's like, okay, First off, if it wasn't for Ted, you'd have never gotten back with fucking Tony.
It's true. It's true. I'm sure when that episode comes around, we're gonna have so much to say. It's gonna be wild. But yeah, that is the episode, season 1, episode 12, The Wedding. Unfortunately for you guys, there is not going to be a Barney's blog today, and that is because there was one blog for both this episode and next episode. It's a combined blog entry that deals with both, and that is because it's essentially a 2-part running episode.
Yeah, Josh and I were talking about it before the episode, and then these 2 episodes are essentially one day and the next day. Yeah.
So we're going to cover that blog entry in the next episode.
Yep.
Just so you know. So, John, since this is the end, give us some final overall thoughts on The Wedding.
I'm really glad that we're finally getting into Victoria.
Yeah, me too.
My heart fucking... I will tell you this. I know there isn't much happiness that I find in relationships, but Ted's relationship with Victoria, it's one of the key things I want.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for, the one thing that winds up splitting them up, the reaction that we get from her about it all, she should have been the one, really.
She should have been.
The
only thing is there's a lot of shit that goes down between the two of them, and then his inability to get over Robin.
Yes, 100%. That's a huge part of it.
Huge.
I thought this was a great episode. I loved it. Though I think I like the next episode more. Just the structure. We're obviously, you're gonna have to wait a week, everybody, to see that. But it's great. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this one. Let us know all your thoughts, all your machinations about the episode today. Right down there, you can see at Off the. Oh, that's wrong.
Ladies and gentlemen, go to Off the Rope. Man, that was a great blooper.
Oh man. I'm going to leave that in, folks. That's right. Go to Off the Ropes JJ for any wrestling needs. This is the right Twitter, at Last Call HIMYM, for all the How I Met Your Mother chatter that we have going on. We want to know your thoughts. Let us know what did you think of The Wedding. And honestly, anytime we're going to do an episode, I want to hear. Send us questions. I want to know. I want to be able to address some stuff on air. I'd love to get you guys more interactive with the show. Again, since if you're listening on the podcast and you can't see it, make sure at Twitter at Last Call HIMYM. Hit us up there. Follow us there. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review if you're liking what you hear. And whatever you write, as long as it's not too shitty, we will read that on air.
Yes, we will.
If you sit there and you're just like cunt 50 times, I might read it, but I might truncate it and just say cunt 50 times, and then we are on our way. But So, John, now that we're wrapped up here, let everybody know where they can find you on the internet.
Well, you can find me at the same place like always, right down here at Simply Sane J1, which corresponds on Twitter with my podcast, Simply Sane with J, the Not Your Mama's podcast.
That's right.
You can also find me co-hosting Off the Ropes with John and Josh with this luscious motherfucker. We talk about all wrestling that is about wrestling.
Sure.
That's pretty much me. Me in a nutshell is pretty easy. It's like, hey, I'm in a nutshell. Why am I in this nutshell?
Oh man, that is a dated one, kids. If you don't know that reference, kids, go look up Austin Powers. Watch that.
Oh man,
Watch all
Josh,
three
what
of them.
about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JP Rayner. That's JPRAYNOR. Or right down here at Movie Blog Merc. That is the Twitter page for my site, Merc with Movie Blog. If you're watching this show on YouTube, you're already on the Merc with the Movie Blog YouTube channel. Check out some of the great things. Me and John recently did a Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer reaction. So check that out. It's got some good views on it. So add to that. And make sure to hit, if you enjoy what you're watching, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. I want to feel it all the way over here. And click that little bell so that you get notified anytime we drop a brand new episode. Again, I am Josh Rayner. That guy over there, he's John Made. This has been Last Call at McLaren's. And John, what do you got for him?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to go home, but you can't listen here.
That's right. Catch you next time.
Peace.